So welcome back everyone, Mike here. It is a miserable day here in western Pennsylvania. It's about 35 degrees, been raining the last 5 hours, and it's just pretty much a sloppy mess out there. But we're going to take this opportunity today, and we're going to go meet a friend of mine named Wild Bill. I went to school with Bill. He appeared in a couple of our videos a long time ago, but he's into chainsaw carving. He's into all sorts of stuff. So we're going to go have a visit with Bill, and we may learn a little something about sharpening chains and carving and who knows what else. Welcome back everyone. You got Mike here, my buddy Bill, and there's Max. I don't know, say hi Max.
Hey guys.
Bill is a friend of mine. He's a wood carver, into a little bit of everything, but sitting here beside him, we've got a pile of chainsaws right here. And today we're going to look at some saws, we're going to look at some carvings, and whatever else you have for us. How's that sound?
Yeah, we're just going to have a man day today. We're going to have a guy day today. It's raining in western Pennsylvania.
Miserable out there.
Yeah, so we're hanging out in the shop.
Yeah.
You know, good thing you don't drink because the moonshine's running free. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
I quit that a long time ago.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I don't drink either, so don't feel bad. But I am on a beer diet once in a while. If I get hungry in the middle of the afternoon,
yeah,
I'll drink one beer to make it till dinner. That's sad. You know, hey, 17 pounds later, another 50 to go. We got her, folks. We got her. But want to go over some unique things that I have that the average Joe probably doesn't. You know?
All right.
So what do you think, Mike? Can we queue up and get on some saws?
Yeah,
and we'll do that.
We'll look at some. He's got a whole table full of saws here. We'll start kind of going through a few of them. There's one shiny one there.
Yeah, that is like the holy grail. Is that? That's 500 high.
Yeah.
How did that get here? Oh my gosh.
All right, so we'll get you a closer look at a lot of these saws here, but I'm seeing, I don't know, 15 saws laying there right now.
Yeah, and these are ones we use. I got a whole pile in the bin part, you know. So hey, just for a little argument's sake, can you catch this bar? You got that going, Mike?
Yep.
Look at here. So this is a comparison in size of things that we have here. So you got a bar this big down to this small. That's actually smaller than a dime tip. This is Japanese kind of a deal here. But
so the big husky you use mostly for ripping.
I do use that mostly for ripping. That's correct.
So we were saying Bill does chainsaw carving, big benches,
some sawmilling,
signs, sawmilling, a little bit of everything. So he has a whole variety of saws for all different purposes.
That's correct. That's correct.
And the smaller the saw, the more detail you get on your carving.
Yeah, that's right. So I use a small saws for like getting into the eyes, and we'll show the bears and the claws and so forth. But now that we got this 4-3 chain going on, I use that saw for more and more because it gives us all more power. You know, a couple years ago, it'd be in there going and poking, and I hated it. You know, I had no patience, right? Now it's like, you know, and I'm loving it. And it's easier on my back. You know, easier on your hands, easier on your back, all of those things.
What husky's that one, the big one?
This is the largest one I think they make. It's that 3120, and that's going to be right there. It's like the sister to your 880. It's a little smaller than the 880, and it's real torquey. I don't know, your 880, like
very
torquey. Yeah, so everybody's sitting there thinking this thing's going to run out of your hands, and that's not the case.
No, it's all low-end torque.
Low-end torque, yeah. And I could honestly say ripping saws, you know, has wrecked them for me. You know, I had to get a Husky rebuild and my 660 rebuild. Me ripping, you know, we didn't sawmill and then, so I was ripping all my little slabs down, and that's hard on them. They just get hot and a lot of strain on them. With this big torquey thing, it doesn't seem to hurt it. The other thing, the bar being really fat like this keeps it straight. You know, so I'm famous for this. Have somebody run me up in a skid steer bucket. I got a big giant oak log, it won't fit on a sawmill, right? I'll saw it in two, and I put ratchet straps on it to keep it together, because these things are mad, they crush it, you know what I mean? And you'd be surprised how fast I can buzz through one of them vertically. That thing stacked up vertically, run this baby on there, even if it's oak or whatever, and now it gets on your sawmill. And you see that's a problem. And I try to cut it right down that crack. That way, that crack's out of the equation, you know, as long as it's not starting one end or the other. I mean, everybody knows sawmilling's a pain in the butt. But anyhow, so that's kind of the big boy. This is my little girl right here, and this is like a $500 saw, and you can't even see it. I've had this for many years. It still runs. Every saw on this table runs, right? It's the 150. And I had a special order this. It wasn't even around. They have them in top handles. This is a rear handle Stihl 150. So it's like a sister to the 192, the 201, that whole kind of family of saws there. And you know, I bought this for a girl I was dating, and you know, it was a little underpowered, you know, and then switching to that 4.3 chain. It used to be just I'd run a quarter pitch chain, but it wasn't .43. It wasn't thin. It was thicker. You know what I mean? So now that 4.3 chain, it makes this run better. Then I turn around and, you know, I played around with the muffler a little bit, you know, advance the timing on this thing. It really runs now. So I like it, you know, especially when you get tired. It's really nice. But you see these in top handles, not rear handles all the time.
Show them what you did to that little Husky there.
Yeah.
How long have you had that saw?
Oh, dude, I've had this a long time. A long time. I traded this for some carvings that a guy was, the Husky sales rep was here.
What model is that?
It's the 550. And that really, the 550 is one of their top rated models for a long time in different magazines for a couple of years. They actually changed it now. It's a little heavier, but it's got a little bit more power. This is one of the original 550s. It had a computer in it, one of the first thing to come out of the computer, and something they were kind of a little bit famous for. You know, they were getting hot. You know, so I just quickly opened the muffler up on this, and what guys will do is you'll braze copper 90-degree copper tube off of these or whatever. And for me, whipping this in here real quick, you can see I burnt my handle slightly, but it took a while to do that. So, and the other thing I did was I opened up this case on the side, try to keep the heat out. This one was starting to give me that, you know, hard time starting when it was hot kind of a thing. So here for these saws, this is a good practice to get into. If you set it down hot, all right, and then you go pick it up again, just do this. Click the choke up, click it down, don't pull the choke, then they usually pop. If someone screws that little sequence up, then they tend to flood them, then you're sitting there, and then once you flood one, you pretty much lock your bar down, jam your finger on the trigger, and you got a yank started. That's not a good way of doing it, and you're exhausted by the time you're done, you know. But if I get that right, and don't forget what I'm doing or whatever, because it's opposite of Stihl, because that's an easy habit to be ass backwards, right? So anyhow, if you get that right, usually not too much of a problem. And the newer ones I don't think have near the problem, but this was like one of the original ones that came out. And it's a nice saw. It feels good in your hands. Their pistons, I think, are like at a 45-degree angle. They're not a top, they're not a bottom. It doesn't shake much either. And I have like 2 or 3 of these, or you know, they're hanging on their last leg. But you know me, I always say I'm a little on the tight side, so I'll ride them until the wheels fall off. You know, so there she is.
All right, what's next on the table there?
Oh, this little girl's special edition right here, nice and pink. You ever see a pink saw before, Mike?
No.
Oh my, this is for your lady. This is like a piece saw for Melissa right here.
What saw is that?
Oh, it is another 190. It says 192 on it, you know. Okay. So I've had it for a while, same thing, you know. So girl I was dating, this was her little go-to trick, so I didn't use her saw. She loved this saw, so she painted them pink. I spruced it up for the camera today, but you know, she didn't think I would be brave enough to carve this in front of 50 people or whatever watching at a show, and I'm shameless. I'll pick a pink saw up and run it. But so anyhow, that's all cool. And the other thing is, everybody, she's like, well, I want them to know I'm a girl. I got a pink saw, and she make pink chaps and so forth. So anyhow, so just fired a little pink on there just to you know, that way, you know, no one messes, you know, your husband messing with your pink saw after that or too much or whatever. So we've had this saw here for years. It's got a carving bar on it too, and I got a Cannon bars here. And and they're a nice carving bar and a nice chain. And I do have a guy's name and number that I buy my stuff off of. If you want to get into the carving end of things a little bit, it's T&D Carving with his phone number, and it's just a mom and pop place. Tom Chainsaw Carves. He's the one that got me started on that square filing. But you get him to talk to, so you're talking directly to the guy making your stuff. Not a bunch of crap like when you get on the phone, you get some, you know, service. They don't know anything about chainsaws, and he could get you started on a carving bar and a chain if you want to, and with hassle free. Yeah, you know, which is great, and he gets you the stuff as fast as he can, which is kind of nice, you know. But he does the cannon bars, you know. And I can tell you, like, here's a great example on a cannon bar. I've had one on here for 7 years. This thing has been on here about 7 years.
Really?
And I have never dressed this up. I thought of this today. That's pretty dang good, you know?
Yeah.
And this there one with a sprocket tip on it, and you don't got to grease it either. I mean, look, I got to whir off.
7 years.
About 7 years, yeah.
That's impressive.
I started. Yeah, I just, you know, and look, I'm hard on them. You know, I'm plunge cutting, and I have never had to go over and dress that up. That's just crazy. I've never seen anything like. But you're paying for them,
right?
You know what I mean. You're paying a lot more for them, so you get what you pay for. But anyhow, that's just something with those, and it's slightly smaller. Okay, this is smaller, you know. So hey, here's another thing. When we're talking about saws, if you got a young kid, this would be great for you. If you get a young kid, say he's 11, 12 years old, and you want to start him out, any of these carving bars are not going to kick and buck on them like a regular chainsaw tip. So basically what happens is this thing rolls around, this kid gets this in the wrong spot.
Oh,
you okay?
Yep, I'm good. Yeah, show them where kickback happens on the bar.
Yeah. So when you get around this end,
danger zone.
Yeah, all in here. So it's either kicking at your feet or jumping up in your face, let's call it, when you, so you don't want to get the tip to the point where it's going to kick up or throw, and you're going to have to show these kids where that is, and maybe stand there with him, let him get a kick once, get his attention, so he knows to pay attention. Well, these carving bars don't do that nearly as much. So they're real small. So basically what happens with these guys are, only one tooth kind of rolls over at a time, and it doesn't kick and butt. Now it still will, but you don't get nearly the kickback. Yeah, exactly. Not near as fast, not near as violent. The thin chain, all those things. It's smoother, not so scary. You're not shaking their hands to death. So you know, if you got a young kid and you want to get them started, you know, with a chainsaw, cutting firewood or what have you, I would say spend the money on that. The safety factor is great. You know, so that's good to remember. Hey, in 1984, I was selling cordwood $85 a cord.
85 bucks.
85, but hey, minimum wage was $3.35. I was working in a restaurant for $2.90 an hour, so 85 a cord was looking pretty good. I could get a cord done by 1:30. So is what it is. All right, let's get to the holy grail. This is Mike's big baby Kahuna, and this is on my want list, right? So I've had 2 saw shop owners here in the last month. Like, you got one of them? Nope. So Mike, he did some sucking up to get this puppy, that's all I'm saying. And what the saw guy told me the other day when he dropped my parts off was in Pennsylvania they gave these guys like 1 per dealership. They waited, and you know, he's got a like a 12-person waiting list for this saw right here. So we're gonna give this puppy a little test run later.
The 500i, it's amazing. It is. It's a game changer. It's just instantly up to speed. You know what I mean?
And I've heard that from my carving buddies. The same thing.
Right now.
It's and I only know one carving buddy that has them.
Really?
Has one. You know, unless you're overseas. You know what I mean? But if you're here in the United States, my buddy from Kentucky's the only one. No, he had the lightweight bar on his. I did get to crack his open one time, and I didn't want to be a hogosaurus with it, but I didn't. You know. So I can't wait to try yours out. And it sounds like you got a muffler mod on it right off the bat, and it really doesn't. So this is exciting technology. You know, the computer thing's got its pluses and minuses. You're not fixing it, you know.
When they first started talking about fuel injected chainsaws, you'd always see people, especially on the internet, oh, I'll stick with it. It's just how things progress. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And then I think back to, you know, my '73 Ford pickup I had. with a carburetor, where if I had a buddy go to get in that truck and he did one thing wrong in the special sequence to start it, you're flooding it. You know what I mean? I got to thinking, I like fuel injected vehicles.
Oh,
you know
sure,
what I mean?
sure. They last longer. All of them. And really, you think about it, it's all sealed system. So now you're not getting all that dust and crap down in there either. You know.
There was a video, and I cannot remember who did it on the 500i. They purposely. It was over in Europe somewhere.
I'm holding tight to this. You see that, right? Okay.
It was over in Europe somewhere because I've had them over there for a few
2 years. Yep.
Where they purposely, they ran like 30 gallons or 40 gallons of gas through one. Never even took the cover off it. Just purposely, because they thought it'd be kind of quirky.
Yeah, sure.
They said it ran exactly like the day they got it.
Got it. It adjusts itself out too with the extra sawdust in it, blah blah blah. You know. Yeah. Because I heard it running, seen it running. I'm like, ugh. You know, and I'm like, I could trip mine out and maybe catch you a little bit, but I ain't catching you. You know. So you know, and for me, I don't care who makes what. You know, look, we're about a 50-50 Husky Stihl here, so I don't want anybody to think we're leaning one way or the other. But in this thing, and I got the balance of it nice too, you know. Now I do like that lightweight bar, and he had Stihl's lightweight bar on his, you know. And really, it was lighter than my 562, and it was a bigger CC saw. So I really like that. And then back to the whole deal: if you're in this to make money, the extra cost, you know, if you're getting more done day after day after day, and you're not having problems with your saw. That adds up, you know. For me, I don't care the price. Does it work good? Is it the best? And if you're in a competition with someone else, you know, you only get limited time. If you're in a carving, you know, a quick carve's an hour. So, you know, if you can shave 5 minutes off with a better saw, that adds up. You give me 5 more minutes on a carving, I'm done and look good, and you're done, got yours all the way through. That's a big deal, you know. So, yeah. So I can't wait to give this guy a little run here. Cool. So what other goodies we got? Oh. Here's another here's a classic Stihl right here. Old 660. I did get this rebuilt one time. It's got a 27-inch bar on it. Had it for years. Just a great all-around saw, you know. And we use this basically for bucking logs most of the time. You know, this is what I run out in the back with. You know, whack them off, bring them up with a machine, that kind of thing.
27-inch bar you have?
Yeah, it's a 27-inch bar on her. You know, yeah, it's just been a good. I've had this for a long time. I can't even tell you how old this thing is. You know, it's one of the first because they were. What the heck were they before this? 066 or something. Yeah. This was one of the newer ones right after that. I think we did a little modified sprocket chain in here. I think I'm making this puppy spin faster. Now I can tell you, you don't need to buy this saw if you have this saw. This saw will do anything this saw will do. I have a 56-inch bar for this saw, which we're going to go ahead and get out. Right now, and I run it. So this is probably the biggest bar you ever seen, huh? That's 56 inches, okay?
Yeah.
So before I had that Husky, and I traded a carving and a little bit of money to get that big Husky, right? But I used this on that 660, and it drug us around no problem. Really? Yeah, it's a massive saw. Dude, when I start this, everybody gets back. They're all like, whoa. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, you don't need something that big. Yeah. That's 660 to get it all day long.
Right.
You know?
So what do you got there, Bill?
Oh, something probably no one's ever seen before. It's come from Bob King. He's out... Oh, what is that? Washington, Seattle, Washington way, I guess. So basically, this is like a stump grinder attachment. This did come from Germany. This is all aluminum. And we could maybe spin over to see that bear. That's what I made that fur on that bear with right there.
All right, so you use that.
Yep, to make this fur. So it's in there. It's going to run 2 at a time. Yep, there's big old cutters. It basically works like a stump grinder. Okay, and then you can rotate these, I think, 4 times. Can you get a hold of that at all?
Yeah. Huh.
And you're going to want to dedicate a saw. This isn't something you're switching on and off. It's run off a regular belt we get at the hardware store.
Can you rotate
Yeah, that's what I mean. You rotate them like 4 times. So you just loosen a screw in the back, turn them, turn them, turn them. I haven't been tuning them up. I'm careful with it. You know what I mean?
Does that want to kick back on you?
It is a little different than you think, you know, but it takes you a day or so to get used to it. Yeah. I usually wear chaps with that every time, you know, like most people wear chaps. But, you know, I carve in the summer with shorts and no shoes. So, you know, but I don't recommend that. But anyhow, but it's not as crazy as you think it is, Mike. Once you get used to it, yeah, it's not. not. If you're pulling down on it, where it wants to really jump on you is if you try to cut from the top down, like I'm trying to squeeze it in someplace I can't get it and get it the right way. But it's a really cool and unique piece of equipment that lets us do things that other people can't, you know, and we'll go over some of that. But look at the fur. That fur pretty much looks like you hand chiseled that fur, right? You know, it's just a unique thing. But you're looking at, you know, $1,300 investment. So yeah, you know, if you're doing it, you're doing it. But anyhow, that's kind of a cool thing. That is. Yep. They also have a smaller version of this called a Hurricane, and that's on my bucket list. You know, not so bouncy. To give you a different pattern. You know, I'm always trying to come up with something stronger, better, faster than everybody else has, you know, so that's next on the list.
And this is Max's saw.
Yeah, brand new 562 he went out and bought. And what I use this when I gave him this carving bar on it, this is what I block out with most of the time, you know. Look, pretty small tip on this one, you know what I mean? Yep. And you can do a whole bear with this, you know. Yeah. And it's real smooth. So I used to tell everybody that, you know, if I got thrown in Alaska and I only had one saw to take with me, this would be it. But now that you have that 500i, I think she might go down and your 500i might be my picker. You know, especially since I held this with that guy with the light bar the other day, and it was lighter weight, more power, and more things, you know what I mean? So, but this was my old go-to saw all the time. And basically, I block out with this now. Then I usually jump to that 550. Then I jump to the 201 Stihl. And then the 192s, right? You know, and just bounce them, boom, boom, boom. And I have them all lined up. And I also have multiples of the saws. So I think I have 3 of these, 4 550s, 2 201s, umpteen 192s. Yeah. And what's nice with that is something screws up. You grab another one. Yep, exactly. And it feels the same in your hand. And then you got parts if you run one over, drop one, or whatever, you know.
Well, even one blows up, you can get something out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, handle pull out, right? That's classic, right? Hey, Mike, have you ever thrown a saw?
Thrown one?
Yeah, like mad, you know, didn't start, throw it?
Maybe a time or two.
Really, once or twice? I think I've thrown mine. I think I've kicked them before. I might even spit at one. Yeah, really? I might have. Yeah, it doesn't matter what brand it is. I've had it when they don't start, and, you know, you throw one. That's just the way it is, you know? So it's got to be able to take a throw, right? You know? All right, so this is a fairly new 201. Got the computer deal on it. And this is a stock bar. We've made a couple of our own little videos, and I cut a whole snowman out with a stock bar. So the nice thing with this, back to the kids type of thing, right? It's got a lot of power. It's got a fairly small tip on it, so it's a little bit safer. Now this has 4/3 chain, again, real thin, right? Only this is 3/8 pitch. So the distance between these rivets are now farther apart. So I do this kind of a little more, you know, you can do some finish work with it, but block with it too, like smaller carvings. I just use this whole thing. And what I really like about this is the power to weight ratio is really good with this. Now this isn't a cheap saw. This is a 600 plus saw, usually 650-ish kind of range saw. So this is a professional version saw. Now this MS200 was, till your 500i come out, was the most sought after saw in the United States, right? Now that your 500i is out, that's the most sought after saw in the United States. But this would be number 2 nowadays, I would say, you know. And to get one with a rear handle, a 200, I'd love to have one, you know what I mean? But anyhow, so this got a computer on it. They originally come out, they had some problems with it. It's a little bit better. We have a love-hate relationship. When this thing's running, I love it. If it's being a jerk to me, I want to yap a little bit. So, but it's getting better and better, you know.